Hello, my name is Andrew Reidinger, and I am filming for the video assignment for philosophy and film. Today we'll be talking about the movie Interstellar, directed in 2014 by Christopher Nolan. The movie follows characters Cooper as well as Dr. Brand through a intergalactic space traveling mission to save a dystopian Earth that has become inhabitable as the crops are dying and dust has begun to cover the Earth. In this movie, many themes, which are described throughout our class, are shown. However, today we'll be talking about the themes dystopia, survival, as well as the sublime. In this movie, we see the character Cooper as he goes throughout his mission to save Earth, where he looks for a future possible habitable planet for the human race. Through scenes such as the beginning, where the Earth is depicted as being covered in dust, we see the dystopian futuristic Earth. Through the scene where the mission is encountering a giant wave, we see survival. And in the scene where they encounter the black hole, we see the sublime. All right, so the first couple of scenes we'll be talking about today are the scenes in which the dust begins to cover the earth and the crops begin to die. And according to Jean-Paul Englebert and his argument, during dystopia, there tends to be an exaggeration of the flaws in the earth. And we see this throughout these scenes, especially in the scene where Murph and has been called into the office, and Cooper talks to Murph's teacher, and they have a disagreement about the landing of the Apollo missions on the moon, and so some of those flaws of conspiracy theories and distrust come to light in that scene, and we see an exaggeration of the flaws that the people before them had.
She brought this in to show the other students the section on the lunar landings.
Yeah, that's one of my old textbooks. She always loved the pictures.
It's an old federal textbook. We've replaced them with the corrected versions,
Corrected.
explaining how the Apollo missions were fake to bankrupt the Soviet Union.
You don't believe we went to the moon?
The wheat had died. The blight came and we had to burn it. And we still had corn. We had acres of corn. But mostly we had dust. I guess I can't describe it. It was just constant, just that steady blow of dirt. We wore little strips of sheet would sometimes over our nose and mouth so we wouldn't breathe so much of it.
Well, when we set the table, we always set the plate upside down, glasses or cups, whatever it was, upside down.
Next thing that we'll be talking about, the crew has gone to space and they are now dealing with a planet that is habitable, but the planet is covered with water, and they have to endure a scene in which their survival is at stake. And rather than it being the survival of the entire human race, we see it's just the survival of three people, which kind of helps us narrow it down and see how the survival of three people is at stake and how they decide to react with that. And because of that, we're able to see Dotson's idea of gestative capture and how it's reflected solely on the immediate survival of the people in that scene, which is escaping the great wave that they see coming upon them, and how gestative capture can limit the long term thinking of the people who are dealing with their survival. And in this scene, we see Dr. Brand, who is very troubled by the wave coming, but she is also dealing with the fact that she wants to save the evidence of Miller, who was on the planet before, and the data that Miller had left. Um, we can see that Miller had likely been taken over by the wave as well, but in this scene, it's the survival of Brand, Cooper, and their crewmate, and them trying to get out of there in time.
There's nothing here.
Should be right here.
There's signals coming from here.
Those aren't mountains. They're waves.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
That one's moving away from us.
We need the recorder.
Fran Doyle, back to the Ranger now.
We're not leaving without her data.
Get back here now.
So the last thing that we'll be discussing is the scene regarding the Sublime. And in this scene, we see the crew entering a black hole, and they're very much overcome. And the movie does a great job depicting the massiveness of the black hole, Gargantua. And while the Sublime, according to DuBose, is in regards to things here on Earth, we do see ties in between the two, and how DuBose discusses how Sublime can liberate us from restricted narratives and how it opens our eyes to possibilities. And I think that the scene does a great job of also opening our eyes to how small we are in comparison to the universe. And the scene
Maximum velocity achieved. Prepare to fire escape thrusters.
Ready?